People who work at 5-star hotels, what type of crap goes on that management doesn't want people to know? We don't want you to know that the people who stayed in the room before you were mucking nasty. Housekeeping gets the brunt of it. I've seen them carry out bags of used frick toys, peel used condoms off of every surface, and scrub poop, actual human presumably poop, off places there's no reason for human poop to be. The worst, though, was the couple that wanted a home birth but not, at home because gross. We had to deal with that hazmat situation. Trucked them as hard as we could with penalties and fees. Though, the worst, though, was the couple that wanted a home birth but not, at home. Holy hell. The absolute audacity. Fricked them as hard as we could with penalties and fees. Though, the worst in it? It probably still cost less than hospital birth. The older I get, the more paranoid I'm about how disgusting that hotel rooms likely are. Edit. RIP my poor inbox. A place I worked at roughly 20 years ago had that popcorn texture poop on the roof. We were notionally a 5-star hotel, but that always felt like a ducking stretch. I remember some guy killed himself with a shotgun under his chin in one of our bigger suites and painted the popcorn. A couple of people from housekeeping straight up quit rather than deal with it when management tried to bully them into cleaning blood and brain matter off a popcorn ceiling. One guy from maintenance said he'd do it, but he wanted a promotion and a 5-year contract with a payout in the event of early dismissal. There was an argument about it, and it was like 3 days of calling around getting quotes and arguing with lawyers about if they could give him that contract before they gave in. The smell was getting complaints from the entire floor. Dude did the whole cleanup with a pair of drywall ceiling stilts. Got the promotion and the contract. That poop can't have been legal, even then. But management didn't want the fuss of a hazmat crew or crime scene cleanup going through the hotel. I left a few months after that. But I heard a few years later from a former coworker that they had an incident and fired all of housekeeping and maintenance, except for that guy. He was the only person to survive the purge. A lot of lonely people going on vacation to end their life. Happens a lot but is never mentioned on the news. I've left the do not disturb sign on the door all day because I wanted a quiet day alone. And around 4 PM housekeeping plus a manager came and knocked to do a welfare check for this exact reason. Note that I've spent a lot of time in hotels and have only had that happen once. But it makes sense, I guess. I've honestly never thought of this, but it makes total sense. I live near Niagara Falls, New York, and unfortunately this is a true fact. Before the modern era it was a really popular spot for travelers to take their lives, and the only evidence that it happened were abandoned cars and carriages, as it was a really popular suicide site in the late 1800s. It's a horrible way to go. You drown at the Horseshoe Falls, or you get bashed against rocks at the American Falls, and an unknown but likely large percentage of bodies are never recovered. Back in pre-border patrol days, people used to jump off the Rainbow Bridge that connects the US and Canada and either die from the impact with the Niagara River or were swept into the rapids and whirlpool to drown. It's always sad to hear of someone going missing because of the possibility of suicide, and just a couple weeks ago it happened with a young college student from New York City who did it over a breakup. They only know it happened because the police dogs traced her right to the water's edge. I only wish someone had seen her and could have persuaded her not to do it, especially when she had so much life left to live, and no relationship is worth dying over. Lots of prostitution and all the drama / legal trouble that goes along with it. Corporate functions like conventions, parties, etc. where there's an open bar almost always leads to something mucked up happening. One hotel I worked at hosted a Christmas party for an investment firm, and 2 guys started jockeying for the affections of a female coworker. They all wound up on an elevator together, and the guys started fighting. The elevator went into safety lockdown. We had to call the PD and the FD. One guy went in a squad car. One guy went in an ambulance. We had to give the woman some clothes from Lost and Found because her dress was covered in blood and the elevator was out of service for 6 hours to clean it up. There's always a ton of back of house drama too, especially among the execs and the junior managers. Affairs, backstabbing, a little light fraud. The usual. 2 men enter. 1 man leaves. Yeah, I'd like 2 packs of light fraud please. I really thought the elevator story was going to go a different route. I don't work in one anymore, but used to. This isn't really shenanigans. But the staff is not nearly so impressed by famous or rich people as some of them seem to think we should be. It was a fancy hotel. We had rich and famous guests all the time. And it was usually the ones nowhere near the top of the ladder who tried to be the most imperious and expected the most deference. If you have to try to convince us you're high status, you aren't. We'd provide polite, professional service for all our guests and try to be helpful and accommodating, but being a C-list actor or whatever isn't going to get you a table in a full restaurant or an upgrade to the already occupied fancier suites. And if there's a severe blizzard and the airport is closed, we can't open it for you because you're too special to have to wait to fly out. Even if you're a very important businessman. I found while working in one of the higher end hotels in my city that the really famous people don't want attention at all. They don't want room service or staff hanging around. Even the welcoming group of the GM and friends is a bit much. Just go away and let them be alone. 9/10 times you would just hear video games or a movie from the room. They just want their alone time. It's the D-list celebs who know damn well they're not all that demand the attention. Likely to prove to themselves that they are important and don't even start on people whose biggest claim to fame involves Twitter, Instagram or influencer. Goddamn parasites who expect to be treated like billionaires but not cough up a single cent. Can confirm this. The truly rich and famous are in fact rarely ever the ones who make a fuss of their status and can be some of the most polite and sensible ones. It's the influencers who are clawing for deference. This was a few years back, but of the many stars who have stayed at one of my hotels, the most memorable was Lady Gaga. When fans found out where she was staying, they flocked over to the hotel hoping for a glimpse of her or to get her autograph. But as you can imagine, when the crowd gets too big it can cause operational headaches. Gaga was very aware of this and took initiative to manage her little monsters, as she calls them. She tweeted and asked her fans to be good and kept them under control. Even ordered pizza from the hotel kitchen for all of them waiting outside in the driveway. We couldn't have asked for a more considerate guest of her stature. In the words of my GM general manager, she is incredibly switched on. I worked in 3.5-star properties, and it was the same. I actually had someone say, "Do you know who I am? I could take one of your stats away." Motherfricker, the stars are for a minute is not quality. I told him the same thing. That every guest regardless of who they are gets the same service. Used to work in one as well, would often get famous guests trying to break the rules because it was convenient for them or because their children wanted it. I don't care who you are. Rules are rules. If we say no open flames in an area, we ducking mean it. I isn't going to get you a table in a full restaurant. Ugh, this is the worst. I'm gold member status. How can you not have a table for me? You should reserve tables for gold member guests. Really? Moron, you think we should keep a completely empty restaurant and turn down actual paying guests just in case all the gold status hotel guests might maybe decide they want to dine here tonight? What kind of business sense would that make? Worked in 5-star hotels in Beverly Hills. Boy do I have stories. Sheik picks up a hooker in the bar, takes her to his room, she roofies him, and steals tens of thousands of dollars of cash, watches and valuables. Husbands who will say hello to staff with their mistress on their arm on Thursday night and their wife on Friday night. Famous teen celebrity left a room full of needles and various drug paraphernalia behind for housekeeping to clean up. Middle Eastern royalty ships in multiple Ferraris and Lamborghinis to the hotel from their home country to drive for the week. Caught drag racing later that night by the cops in the neighborhoods of Beverly Hills. Largest checkout bill I've ever seen was roughly $2 million for guests who rented out an entire floor of suites for 3 weeks. Promptly paid via wire transfer. Had to procure $100K cash for a guest whose wife wanted to shop on Rodeo Drive the next morning. The local bank doesn't even have that much. Had to get an armored car from the Central LA Bank branch to deliver. The list goes on. How exactly do you just get an armored car to come make a delivery? That seems like a lot of money to just be picking up and driving around impromptu. Or do you send the bill for the truck to the client who wanted the money? Are credit cards not a thing in the last one? As part of our training as bellmen, we are to ask open-ended questions to the children. to make sure they aren't being used for frick trafficking when bringing in luggage to dad and daughter types. My dad works in security in the same hotel, so he often gives me a heads up if the guest with a child is already under suspicion regarding their behavior at the front desk for check-in. It rarely happens, but hotels are the breeding grounds for frick traffickers. This blew up. Thank you for the rewards to those that found my insight helpful. The questions vary depending amount of information security and the front desk tells the crew. Has this guest ever stayed with us or any other of our different umbrella hotels? What events are currently going on in the hotel? Was the child uncomfortable upon entry? Looking down? Crying? Silent? Dirty clothing? Lines of questions try to get the child to speak in general, as many traffickers take in children that don't speak English. Otherwise, questions about their stay get directed at the child instead of the guardian. What adventures are you guys up to here in Chicago? Is your dad here on business? We crouch and say if they would like to help the bellman work. Most kids love the experience. We usually crouch down and try to make eye contact. If I can't definitively tell security that the child is 100% comfortable in their surrounding, or if the guardian tries to lead the child away from me deliberately, security gets an internal investigation going. My dad has given me confirmations of arrests made of guests that I had attended to. Summer is a hectic season, and it happens more than you would like. That's so sad to hear, but I'm glad to hear hotel staff at your place have training to look for signs of relations trafficking. What kind of open-ended questions? I don't really understand what you mean. What goes on the room next to you? This week we to evict and have arrested a couple for causing over 15k in damages to a room. This was done quietly late at night and the nearby rooms never found out. I can't think of a way I could casually cause 15k in damages in a night without being noisy. Were they doing it maliciously just to cause damage? This wasn't a 5-star by any stretch, but while in training to install kitchen cabinets for this one company, they put the majority of people up in a hotel. This one day we got all our tools to use on the job. Chop saw, drills, table saw, etc. etc. This hotel gave one free beer per person, and these guys from training were getting a lot more than one beer. That night they decide to take apart all the furniture in the room and install it on the roof. The company was hit with that bill, of course. They were not amused. They also changed house slash when they gave out tools as well. Dead people. In some places there's a reasonable chance somebody has died in your bed. Obviously it varies with the type of hotel and its clientele. But some places you get deaths weekly, not that the hotel is unsafe, but unfit old people overexerting themselves. One place I worked, maybe 40% of the beds had been died in. Bed bugs. They happen in every hotel. You might be paying 5k a night, but your luggage was in the hold with everyone else's. If there's only 1 or 2 bugs and none in the adjacent rooms, diamond style. So above, below, and both sides, then you brought them in. You know what I never saw happen? Maid stealing. Everyone always points at the maids when they lose stuff, but we always found it. No way the maids are risking their jobs over your used iPad or mall jewelry. With tips they make pretty decent money. Tip about bed bugs. When you arrive, never put your luggage on the bed. When you arrive, keep lights off. Put luggage in bathroom, and then at the head of the mattress peel back the sheets and mattress pad. Bed bugs tend to congregate there, but scatter when there is light. If you find bed bugs, you can request another room. I've never heard of a bed referred to as having been died in before. Guess that speaks to how different hotel work is from other careers. Watching for signs of relations trafficking. Lots of cheating spouses there under fake names, and you can't confirm if here there when the spouse calls pissed. Jacuzzi and swimming pool deaths, usually from alcohol. Guests expose themselves to female staff frequently, especially housekeepers and room service. People will legit give you keys to their rooms, sometimes dealing with really crappy organizations for their banquets, income, etc. One cool thing is that you can buy pillows, mattresses, etc. from many hotel brands. If you really enjoyed your sleep at a hotel, editory, fake names, you can use an alias at a hotel. You check in with all your correct legal information, so the hotel has all your info. Then you let them know you'd like to use an alias during your stay, and if you'd like to block external calls. So if a civilian calls looking for you, the desk says you're not there per instructions. If there is an issue of medical/legal/law enforcement, then the desk will provide the correct legal info per local laws. This is something also used by people hiding from abusers too. It's not always someone being crappy. Editor, Pillow Rex. This is a helpful list comparing hotel pillow options and alternatives. This is a set I did buy as an alternative Subreddit bed pillows for sleeping 2-pack standard size 20x 26 inches. Hypoallergenic pillow for side and back sleeper. Soft hotel gel pillows set of 2. Down alternative cooling pillow. They're soft and fluffy and best when stacked with 2 for sleeping, not super firm. These are a few I've seen recommended but haven't tried. Fern and willow pillows for sleeping, queen size. Set of 2. Premium down alternative. Hotel bed pillow set, luxury. Plush cooling gel. Allergy friendly, for neck pain. Back and side sleepers. Cosson or hotel collection pillows for sleeping 2-pack luxury down alternative pillow. Breathable premium quality cover. Skin friendly queen size. This article is helpful for teaching what to look for when buying a pillow. I used to work at a hotel when I was maybe 20 where this man came in with 2 young women, definitely teens, and never let them speak. They'd come back somewhat bruised. Then he started coming in with other men and the girls everything paid in cash. My manager said it happens. Leave it. A woman told me the next morning she thinks she was unconsensual intercourse by the same men. She woke up naked in her room, beat up and with pain in her genitals after having drinks with them. Management again. Leave it. She's crazy and was drunk. So I called the police and corporate and left that day. Detective called me a couple days later for a report and to come in and ID the man as well as some customers of the man. Turns out the girls were underage and not from here is all I was told. Manager was investigated as a participant and fired. Edit. News story for the doubters. I stayed at a Marriott one night and it was the best sleep I ever had. The mattress was fantastic. Went home and called Marriott to ask what kind of mattress it was and got one moment. Let me transfer you to our mattress sales department. One surprised Frank and triple. $1,300 and 2 weeks later Marriott delivered a king size to my door. I'm sure my ex is still sleeping in complete comfort 15 years later. There is one aloft I stay at that has those long tube pillows. One is firm, the other is soft. I freaking love those pillows. Each aloft is different as sometimes the pillows suck. Never trust glass in rooms. Grass are so stretched thin on time that they will clean the glasses with the same rags they clean the bathroom. After all, their goal is to make the room look clean. I worked as a grad in a 5-diamond 4 years and there was over a year period that went by where we didn't get a clean glass delivery. We didn't have dishwashers in the room. So management was complicit. This was in a 5-diamond. One of the top resorts in the world. Never trust glass in hotel rooms. Suddenly the sealed plastic cups at Holiday Inn seem 5-star to me. That is vile. I guess I'm glad I know. I used to work events at hotels, and one time we had a guest break their wine glass inside a water refill barrel. I left work for 2 weeks to go on vacation, and when I came back, all the glass was still piled inside the water refill barrel. People must have been drinking out of it, because there were events booked while I was gone. What is a water refill barrel, and how would someone break a glass inside it? I'm honestly shocked at this story. I used to work as a bartender for the shrewdest asshole I've ever met. He would bring in international kids as servers and charge them $50 a day to live on premises. You never got time and a half. Head just switched to paying you under the table instead. The assistant manager estimated our taxes. Point is, he wasn't afraid of breaking the law in the slightest. One day I broke a glass in the general vicinity of the ice machine and he immediately whipped around and started questioning me. How closed was it? Are you sure the lid was closed? Are you absolutely sure nothing got in the ice? The lid was closed. But we were ready to close the entire bar just to clean out the ice machine. All from someone who wanted the cooks to charge themselves if they made food to eat after their shift. You do not truck with glass in people's food. Just one incident can shut down an entire restaurant. We don't badmouth prostitution or whatever goes on in the rooms as long as it doesn't affect other guests. Half the women that come to the bar are working girls looking for a sale. The only thing that the hotel industry ever really reports is human trafficking. There are telltale signs, and if something doesn't add up we do report it to local authorities. I don't know about all 5 hotels, but I'm sure this happens at most of them. Front desk/reservation staff will basically stalk you online if you're a notable VIP, and your picture will be shared internally to ensure everyone recognizes you, so you feel special when you arrive and everyone already knows who you are. I didn't work at a 5-star hotel, but it was a mid-range hotel that catered mostly to business people. I worked weekend overnights, and we had a pronoun shoot happen one weekend. Told them to shut the curtains and everything was fine. The girls came out and ordered a bunch of food and paid from stacks of dollar bills. Coke. Lots of Coke. If it wasn't so bad for me, I'd drink it every day. The scale. Management wants things to be automatic for you. A person there when you need them, and every item you could need before you need it. But the scale of that is purposefully hidden. For example, you see your housekeeper. You might see that there are 5 other housekeepers on that floor, a houseman per floor and a special request delivery person. If you look closely, you don't see the 4 to 6 desk workers manning the radios, so that we know when to enter certain rooms, who wants special pillows, how we manage the 3 rooms that all want service at 1 PM, or replacing rooms that asked for no service. You don't see the 6 supervisors spot checking checkout rooms for cleanliness. Nor do you see the laundry teams, plural. Sheets and guest laundry are separate, and guest is split into dry cleaning and non-dry clean. You might see the public parlor attendants, but you probably won't see the team cleaning the pool or deep cleaning the gym sauna. At 7:30 AM every morning, the service area just explodes with activity. Like you kicked 2 ant nests at once. 60 housekeepers on a single shift? Guess it's a slow day, and that's just housekeeping. We have 3 industrial scale kitchens for various purposes. 4 if you count pastries. Security teams. Contact companies for large events. Teams of engineers in every specialty. I don't even know where the head office is, but we do have one. I'm one of the more knowledgeable on where to find items for special requests, and I still find new storage rooms every other week. We found a 1930s printing press nobody knew we had. It's freaking wild how many moving parts there are. Flipping 500 rooms in a day while setting up 4 to 1 million weddings simultaneously. Fulfilling 100 room service orders while catering those weddings while running our restaurant. Fixing a leaky shower head in the pool while ensuring a guest had an extra couch in their room for the kid that just loves couch beds. All of this together is called an average Tuesday in summer. This reads like a hotel management montage early in an Ocean's movie complete with Brad Pitt voiceover. Edit. Thanks for the unexpected rewards on my late night/early morning nonsense. Lol. The reason I said this specifically is because Brad Pitt's character manages a hotel in at least the first one of those movies, and that franchise loves its narrated montage. Worked at the high-end restaurant at a ski resort that hosts a famous film festival. Lots of frickin' the walk-in coolers, but never the people you'd want to walk in on. I never caught anyone in the walk-ins, but I always thought the dry storage upstairs would have been a good spot. Now I'm curious who the hell was having intercourse in the walk-ins. I wrote travel guides to places in the Middle East, Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, etc. and have stayed in lots of 5-star hotels around the world for work. The whole 5-star system is murky from the start. The manager at a top-class London hotel told me that the hotel grading system in general is utter nonsense. The problem, he said, is that the list of criteria to reach each of the star ratings is little more than a tick sheet, albeit with around 500 factors to consider. For example, one criterion for being considered 5-star is fresh flowers being present in guest rooms. But there's a huge difference between a big ornate display of orchids and a bunch of daffodils. The presence of either would technically tick the box, and in theory you could fulfill all the required 5-star criteria yet be hugely inferior to the hotel next door that offers all the same things, but at a much higher quality and standard. The Forbes travel guide gave just 6 London hotels a 5-star rating, including the one my insider works at, but that means that fantastic hotels like the Ritz, the Langham, the Berkeley, and Mandarin Oriental Hyde Park are only 4-star. Are they really 20% inferior to the 5-star rated Al Bustan Ratana in Garhoud in Dubai, which is basically a business hotel near the airport? It's also difficult to maintain a consistent roll call of criteria as modern demands change. For example, Wi-Fi in the room is a relatively recent expectation, and what we expect as standard has changed over the years. So what constitutes luxury now has altered accordingly. When Savoy Hotel in London opened 1889, it was boasting about features such as electric lifts, speaking tubes to link each floor, and fully plumbed bathrooms. Now though, in the era of internet, crowdsourcing is often the most reliable way to judge somewhere. When hundreds of people on sites like TripAdvisor say a place is overpriced and terrible, then it doesn't matter what the official book says. And if a 1-star hotel gets nothing but praise from 90% of the people commenting, there's your consensus of rating right there. Very interesting. Now though, in the era of internet, crowdsourcing is often the most reliable way to judge somewhere. When hundreds of people on sites like TripAdvisor say a place is overpriced and terrible, then it doesn't matter what the official book says. And if a 1-star hotel gets nothing but praise from 90% of the people commenting, there's your consensus of rating right there. Absolutely. Now it's the 5-star reviews that actually count.